I have so many paint marks,
Okay.
watercolor paint marks on my tablecloth. And the water getting all soaked.
We'll get another
Bleeding through.
paper towel.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. All right, so when I look at this, I want you to notice that the green is not all the way through. You see how it just peaks here and there? So, and the majority of the flower is soft. So if it's a soft edge, what do I need to remember? It's a soft edge. It's wet. So what I did when I started this one is I actually started with wet paper because I wanted it to be soft. So I'm going to lay in some wet about the shape of that. So can you even see the shine? All right, so y'all just watch for a second and then I'll let you do it. So I've laid in the shape of this flower. It's kind of like a tall Christmas tree in a way. And so I pick up the colors that I've mixed and I'm just putting them in, dabbing. I don't want it to be solid. This is the lightest of the color. So it's not even taking shape of that flower yet. Do you see how random that is? Mm-hmm. Okay. And I'm going to let that dry a little bit, because as I let it dry, then I'm going to come back in with the parts that are a little darker, which means I'm just going to use that same color again, and I'm going to layer it. But it's really, really shiny right now. So while it's really, really shiny, y'all can do your wet and wet first layer.
When you're painting at home, do you use a cup of water that you've got sitting next to you just to keep you from having to squeeze out your brush all the time?
I don't use that much water.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm using too much water.
Like I haven't refilled my brush with what we're doing today yet. But, you know, again, traditional watercolor, you start with the lightest color. And the lightest color in this is that pale pinky purple. Oh, I need to bring another lamp out for y'all. You need an...
It's just because I couldn't personally at that moment see where my wet spot was, but now I can. You just need to have the glare.
Yeah. But I have
Let me see how far this will reach out and help. And get an extension cord. But
Oh yeah, that's fine.
That's good. That's really good. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
On a bright day, it's just such a cloudy day.
Okay, now mine is shiny, but it's not as shiny. So I'm going to come back with that color, and I'm going to start laying in a little shape, as though, think of the center of this post, as this, if this is the center of this flower, the flowers are growing away from it. Some will be coming towards you. The ones that are coming toward you, you can do kind of a C, sideways C, and bat C in the back, and then a little dab in the middle. Do you see what I did? Mm-hmm. So it could be a sideways C and a little dab in the middle. Some of it's just random. You don't even know exactly what's happening. Don't try to make sense of it all. This one's kind of focused toward me, so I'm going to turn it this way. I angle some out, do the other direction. So again, don't be too contrived of getting it all the same. Kind of try to be a little loose with it, and having some going out away from the center and some coming toward the center. Or from the center and from away from the center. Alright, so I've added just some extra layers. That was using the same color.
Ooh, mine's still too wet.
Okay, so if y'all's is still wet, let me just go ahead and continue on. Mine is not so wet that I can't add some green. Remember ooh, that was way too much green on that. So I'm going to pull some of that green. Remember when in that last painting, I added a little bit of pink to the green so that it wouldn't be quite so vibrant. But I'm using this olive green and a little yellow because it was a little too bright. And I'm going to create where I want my stem. So I'm going to do some little dots up here to indicate the top, and think of the center where in between these you might see a little green, and there was a little bit of green coming out on one side.
Olive plus a little yellow.
And again, think about where the center would be, and if I'm doing leaves, I want to point where the edge of the leaf is out. Going to point out, drag in. This is the bottom side of that, possibly. I'm not exactly sure. I don't have the photograph out. Well,
Jane,
shoot.
for the green that you mix with yellow, did you use the bottom left one on your palette?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You did?
And what yellow?
I used the first one.
First or second one, it doesn't really matter. And so right now my brush is full of a variety of colors, of yellow, green, and I don't have a great picture of what these leaves look like, so I don't want to overthink the leaves. I just want to indicate that there's leaves here. So like this picture here, it's just kind of loose.
I like that.
And I'm going to put in a little bit, whoops, that's really loose. I was going to put in a little bit of the pink there, and it was a little too purple. I'll lift some of that up. And just, I mean, it's, now I added a different green that was a little too bold. I want to tone that down with a little bit more of the pink added to it. But when you add pink to green, it'll tone it down. And why is that?
Complimentary.
Yay! Y'all are so smart. So, you know, that's a very, it's you know, again, the leaves are not anything to write home about. But I haven't spent much time on this, and I want to pull one of those leaves out a little bit more to show a little more detail. But I would probably look, if you want to be true to the like the book that Hillary brought, you know, if you want to be true to what type of flower it is, then you really need to look and see what kind of leaves they produce.
But that looks like a foxglove leaf, because I grow foxgloves.
Oh, well, see, I have no idea. So, well, that's good to
It
know.
looks like a foxglove.
And if you want to add another layer of your color, if you want it a little more bold, and you come back again when it's dry, and you lay in a little bit more.
Larry, did you only live 2 years?
Yes, they're buying them.
Which is, because they're so magnificent and expensive.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say they're expensive to only last
So I only
2
have a
years.
few of them, but
Now-
I love them.
One thing that when I look at this one versus this one, I have a lot of white in the center here, and I'll probably kind of go in and fill in a little bit, just because to me it's a little too much white for
What if I left no white? I wish I had left white.
That's fine. Okay. So there you go. And I didn't have any outline on that. You can put outline if you want, but
I
yeah.
love the looseness of it, but you can tell it's a foxglove.
Yeah,
It's
there's.
like a gesture painting of a
Uh-huh.
foxglove.
But again, it's something you don't spend a lot of time on.
I'm still too white.
That's when you do multiple. See, doing something like this, where if you're going to do maybe 4, get those panels that I gave you the first night, and you put 2 on each panel, and you start with the background on each one of them. Then you come back to the first one. By the time you've done the background on 4, then you can paint the second layer on the first one, and you can knock some of these out really fast. And you'll find certain things that appeal to you that you'll be able to do really quickly, and those can be what you make your cards out of. And male or female, now we'll do a feather. Let me look it up, because that would be something
Did
that's.
you do your leaves on dry or did you wet down there?
I just did them on dry, but that's a good question. Okay, let me go to my photos and pull up a reference so that I'm not just going at it blindly. Oh, let me turn this off. Don't need to have it just recording when